There's nothing like experiencing Northern Ireland for the first time, peeking over epic cliffs, pondering on top of endless green pastures, and dipping your toes into the chilly sea. Visiting Northern Ireland for the first time is truly an enchanting experience. But there are some Northern Ireland travel tips that you need to know that can either make or break your trip. If you're new here, hey guys, I'm Indigo from the Indigo Sahara travel blog, and I actually lived in Ireland as a kid. My family moved there for several years, so I have literally spent years in Ireland, and I hate to admit it, but Northern Ireland is my favorite spot, my favorite region of Ireland, and my family's as well. Whenever we go back to visit our home in Ireland, we always go to Northern Ireland, specifically the Causeway Coast, but there are some things you need to know. So after this video, you will be fully equipped with what to wear in Northern Ireland, how to drive on the other side of the road, everything you need to know about exchanging currencies, and you might even learn a few words in Irish. So without further ado, here are the most important Northern Ireland travel tips to know before your trip. Northern Ireland travel tip number 1 is to travel outside the big city. Whether you're flying into Dublin or maybe even Belfast or Shannon for that matter, either way, you're gonna want to leave the big city. So definitely don't just stay in Belfast or Londonderry. Those are two of the bigger cities in Northern Ireland. You're gonna want to explore outside the city, and I know that can be intimidating, but it is so worth it. Because the truth is, if you want to truly experience the version of Ireland that you see in photos, films, and magazines, you need to travel outside the big city. Don't get me wrong, spending a day or two in Belfast or Londonderry to check the city off your bucket list is not a bad idea, but as someone who literally grew up right next to Dublin, my number one tip for people traveling to Ireland is always to travel outside the city. Don't worry, we'll talk about how to do that logistically throughout this video. Next, you're gonna wanna pack warm clothes and a rain jacket. As you probably already know, it rains a lot in Ireland. Ireland is notorious for its rain, so a weatherproof jacket with a hood is a must. I have a variety of Eddie Bauer rain jackets that I actually mentioned in my What to Wear in Ireland summer video. I went through all of my favorite weatherproof jackets for Ireland in that video. My favorite one is the Eddie Bauer Charlie jacket. It's thick and warm and rainproof and windproof and all the things. And then I also have this Eddie Bauer Weather Edge Pro jacket that I really like. Basically, you're gonna want a waterproof and windproof jacket in Northern Ireland, especially if you're gonna be on the Causeway Coast or the coastline at all, because it gets very windy. So you'll want a jacket to stay warm from the wind and also to protect you from the rain, obviously. Speaking of rain, number 3, you cannot let rain ruin your trip. Go into your Ireland vacation knowing that it will inevitably rain. If you mentally expect rain and pack accordingly, the rain will not ruin your trip. If anything, rain in Ireland just adds to the mystic nature of the country. Without Irish rain, the pastures and rolling hills wouldn't be green, the views wouldn't be magically misty, and it simply would not be an authentic Irish experience. And if you happen to be lucky enough to experience some sunshine in Northern Ireland during your trip, consider it a pleasant surprise. Similarly, number 4, travel to Northern Ireland any time of the year. All that being said, don't be afraid to travel in the rainy season or in shoulder season. Of course, summertime is where you'll have the best chance at great weather, lots of sunshine, but because that's the popular tourist time, it also will cost quite a bit more. Accommodations will be more expensive, flights will usually be more expensive, so don't let the potential for rain stop you from traveling in the winter and fall, spring, shoulder seasons. You'll get cheaper accommodation, cheaper flights, and like I said, rain kind of just adds to the Irish feel when you're there. So yes, it'll be colder, and yes, it'll probably be wetter, but it just adds to the Irish vibe, I feel like, in my opinion. So don't let rain stop you, basically. Plus, you'll have fewer crowds during those seasons as well. Number 5 is to rent a car, or as they say there, hire a car. When it comes to traveling around Northern Ireland, the best mode of transportation is to rent a car. When you have your own car, you have the freedom to take the incredible scenic routes that Northern Ireland has to offer, witness the Northern Irish countryside firsthand, and explore small town restaurants and shops. Honestly, you really can't fully experience Northern Ireland and the countryside fully from just taking tour buses. Tour buses are a great option if you're absolutely against driving on the other side of the road, which I'll talk about next. But just know that you won't be able to fully and freely experience Northern Ireland if you don't have your own car. So I do definitely recommend renting a car. Of course, it's better to take the tours than to not venture outside the city. But yeah, that's my 2 cents, is to rent a car if you can. Number 6 then is to get rental insurance for your car. Sequentially, if you rent a car in Northern Ireland, or any country for that matter, make sure you have rental car insurance. Many credit cards nowadays cover rental car insurance, but it's worth it to double check with your credit card company. I have another video with some of my favorite travel credit cards for free travel, so I will link that here so you can watch that next if you want. I also have blog posts about travel credit cards, so I'll link those in the description. But anyways, you are going to want rental car insurance in Ireland because many of the roads in Ireland outside of the major cities are tiny, bumpy, and accident prone. In fact, during one of our many Irish road trips, we actually blew a tire and the rental car insurance came in handy. We had to pull over in the middle of the countryside. My dad had to change his spare tire. It was a whole ordeal. I don't think I've ever used it outside of Ireland, but I have used it in Ireland, so it is definitely worth that extra expense to make sure that you are insured for your rental car. Number 7 then is to learn Northern Ireland's rules of the road. Yes, it is true that in Northern Ireland, they drive on the other side of the road. If you're coming from North America, if you're coming from anywhere except like the UK and Australia, I think, where they drive on the left side of the road, you are gonna be driving on the other side of the road, and it feels wrong, it feels weird, it's not what we're used to. So I highly recommend reading through the rules of the road in Ireland, just so you can get a feel for what the rules are going to be like, what the signs are going to look like, all of that good stuff before you get into your rental car and start driving. Because like I said, not only are you driving on the opposite side of the road, the steering wheel is also on the opposite side of the car, so it just feels a little bit disorienting your first time. There are also plenty of videos on YouTube you can watch to get like experience, quote unquote, driving on the other side of the road, so you can at least see how it works, see how the roundabouts work, because yes, the roundabouts go in the opposite direction, and there are a lot of roundabouts in Ireland. So basically, watching the videos, doing your research, reading the rules of the road online, I'll link their rules of the road in the description. All of that will give you a lot of peace of mind before you have to drive there. Also, be sure to get your international driver's license before departing your home country, just to make sure all of your bases are covered. I'll link that in the description as well. Number 8 is to make sure you have a GPS. Before we move on from the transportation travel tips in Northern Ireland, I want to make sure that you know that you should have a GPS while you're there, because it's something that is easily forgotten, especially with international data plans and all of that jazz. Odds are that your cell carrier does not support international data, which means you will not have access to your internet-based GPS on your phone while you're there. It is extremely easy to get lost on the Irish back roads because they're so small and windy. This is actually a tip coming straight from my parents because they have more experience driving there than I do. This is one of their #1 tips, because you can get lost on those back roads pretty easily. So to make sure you have a GPS, you have a few options. One, you can ask your car rental company if the car comes with a built-in GPS. Many of them do now. Number 2, you can buy a SIM card or an eSIM card to have international data to use your GPS as normal, which I honestly recommend. Number 3, you can pay for 1 month of international data with your cell carrier usually. This is a more expensive option, but it is easy, so it's an option nonetheless. Number 4, you can totally upgrade your phone plan to an international travel data plan. This is what I have and love and recommend. I have T-Mobile's international data plan, and it is amazing. You land in your destination, you get a text from T-Mobile that says, "Welcome to Northern Ireland," or "Welcome to Ireland," and then you have internet. It's so nice and simple. So if you're looking for something that is completely easy, even though it is significantly more expensive, that is a great option. Or my least recommended and last option would be to download your maps on your hotel's Wi-Fi before you leave your hotel for the day. Err on the side of caution with this though, because if you lose access to the maps, or you need to, find a gas station on your way, or find a restaurant, or you want to venture off the map, it could be really hard to find your way back to that pre-downloaded route, if you will. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend that option, but it is an option nonetheless if you just want to use your hotel Wi-Fi to download your maps before you leave. Number 9, know that Northern Ireland is a completely different country from Ireland. Now this is kind of ironic because I actually just realized that I'm wearing a Republic of Ireland sweatshirt in this Northern Ireland video, so sorry about that. But there are two different countries, and it's important to know the difference between the Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland for a couple reasons as a tourist. Mainly, Northern Ireland and Ireland have different currencies, so this is really important to know when you're traveling there. They're governed by different government bodies and therefore have different currencies. Ireland, or the Republic of Ireland, which is the southern portion of the island, is a independent country that is a part of the European Union, so it therefore uses the euro. However, Northern Ireland is still a part of the UK, so it uses pounds. This means if you are traveling all around the Irish island, going to Ireland and Northern Ireland, you will need access to both currencies. My next tip will help you avoid this different currency problem altogether, but it is important to know that they use different currencies. The prices will be different in the different regions. All of the price tags on things usually have both the euro price and the pound price in both Ireland and Northern Ireland, so you can kind of see the difference as you're shopping. But yeah, they are two different currencies, and that's important to know as a tourist. Number 10 then is to bring a travel credit card. Obviously, using different currencies can pose a problem when you're traveling. The easiest way to eliminate this problem is to travel with a travel credit card instead, because credit cards are widely accepted throughout Ireland and Northern Ireland. I haven't gotten cash for my trips to Ireland in a long time, to be honest, because credit cards are accepted everywhere there. So there's really no reason to bring cash unless you're concerned about international transaction fees on your credit cards, which a lot of credit cards do. Most credit cards have international transaction fees, and you do not want to have to pay those fees. If you have a travel credit card, odds are that there are no foreign transaction fees for your card, but it's definitely worth checking. If you do not know about your credit card, definitely double check because those fees can add up. Make sure, if you need to, that your credit card company knows that you're traveling abroad before you go, because otherwise they could flag those charges when you get on the ground in Northern Ireland. They could flag those charges as fraudulent, and you do not want that, because they will stop access to your credit card, and you won't have access to a credit card on your trip until you call the company and are like, yes, it was me, I swear, like, this isn't a fraud. Like, you don't want to have to deal with that mess. So make sure your credit card company knows that you're traveling abroad before you leave. Again, a lot of travel credit cards don't require you to alert your credit card company that you're traveling abroad beforehand. So if you have a travel credit card, you may not need to do this, but definitely double check, especially if you do not have a travel specific credit card. Number 11, don't exchange currencies before your trip. Now this is a hot take, but hear me out. Again, like I said, there's no necessary need for cash in Ireland because credit cards are accepted everywhere. So by paying extra to convert your dollars to euros or pounds, you're kind of just wasting money, because it costs money to exchange currencies, and there are ATMs everywhere in Ireland, so you can still get cash without converting the currencies before your trip. The only reason that I would suggest exchanging currencies beforehand is if you have severe travel anxiety and just want to prepare everything as much as you can before your trip, then by all means, it could be worth the money to exchange currencies before your trip for that reason, just to give you peace of mind. So if you want to do it, you can. Moreover, number 12, don't be surprised if you can't understand the locals, even if English is your first language. The Irish accent and slang can be really hard to understand if you're coming from the US or Canada. So don't be surprised if you can't understand their accent. Their accents are thick. Northern Ireland is a lot easier to understand from my experience because they have more of like a soft accent, kind of like an English accent. It's a little bit more English, which makes sense because it's part of the UK. Southern Ireland, on the other hand, I mean, I grew up in Ireland and it's still hard for me to understand Southern Irish people because their accents are so strong. This isn't anything you need to worry about. Everyone speaks English there, by the way, so you don't need to worry about like learning Irish. Everyone speaks English there. That is most people's first language there, but the accent can be hard to understand. So don't be surprised if you still can't understand them, especially in Southern Ireland, Southwestern Ireland, in the Limerick or Donegal areas. Number 13 is a fun Northern Ireland travel tip, and that is to know what fulcha and sláinte mean. Like I said, everyone speaks English there, so definitely don't feel like you need to speak Irish there because some of them don't even speak Irish. They learn Irish in school like we learn Spanish or French in the US. Just for fun, you'll want to know what sláinte and fulcha mean. Fulcha spelled F-A-I-L-T-E, and I apologize for my Irish pronunciation for those of you who do speak Irish. Fáilte means welcome. You'll see this on signs, you'll see this on welcome signs. I don't really ever remember hearing people say it, but it's just a fun one to know. So fáilte means welcome. Sláinte is one that you probably will hear people say, and that is how you say cheers in Irish Gaelic. So when you're at the pub getting a pint of Guinness or another local drink, you'll probably hear people cheers and say sláinte, spelled S-L-A-I-N-T-E. Yeah, sláinte. Number 14, bring an outlet adapter for the UK. You will need an outlet adapter in order to charge your phone and any other electronic devices that you have that do not match their outlet, which is probably all of your electronics. I believe that they use the Type G outlet, but I will link their outlet adapter that you need for Northern Ireland in the description. And like I said, you will not be able to charge any of your electronics without it, so definitely bring it. You can buy affordable outlet adapters on Amazon. They are not expensive and you won't need it. If you travel internationally regularly, you can also buy a universal outlet adapter. That'll usually have a UK, Ireland outlet adapter that you can use. So I'll link one that does in the description. If you want one that is universal that you can use in other countries too, I'll link that in the description too. Also, another pro tip, if you have a lot of electronics that you're gonna be charging, like your phone, camera batteries, camera, you know, drone, whatever. If you have a lot of things that need to be charged overnight, I recommend bringing a travel-friendly power strip. This will make the whole outlet adapter situation a lot easier because otherwise you can only plug one thing in at a time, and that's really annoying to have to switch them all out. So what I'll do is I'll plug the power strip into the outlet adapter, and I've never had any electrical issues. I'm not an electrician, so don't come after me if this is not right. I've never had any issues with plugging a travel-friendly power strip into a outlet adapter so that I can charge multiple things at once. Number 15 is to try Irish foods and snacks while you're there. My favorite foods that I always have in Ireland when I'm there include fish and chips, especially if they're from a local chipper, as they're called. It's basically a fish and chip shop. Guinness stew, shepherd's pie or other pot pies, a full Irish breakfast, bangers and mash if you're feeling a little bit more daring, seafood chowder, so good, Irish soda bread is an essential, potato chips or crisps as they're called in Ireland. They're just like a potato chip basically, but they're local to Ireland. Specifically prawn cocktail flavored potato chips. Oh my gosh. Sounds so weird, but it's like cocktail sauce flavored chips and they're so good. Love them. I have them every time that we go. And don't forget to try a local chocolate bar. I always love trying local candy while I'm on trips. My favorite are the Aero chocolate bars. They're really fun, bubbly, aerated chocolate bars that are delicious. But number 16, steer clear of black pudding. Why? Because it's made with pig's blood, and I just think that's kind of gross to have pig's blood in a food. So I personally stay clear of black pudding. If you see it on the menu, black pudding, I avoid it personally. Number 17, tipping culture in Northern Ireland. So tipping culture does exist. You do want to leave a tip while you are traveling around Ireland and Northern Ireland. And much like the US, it is customary to tip in Ireland around 10 to 15% of your bill for restaurant and pub wait staff and a few euro for hotel porters. However, unlike the US, you do not need to tip per drink at the bars. Vagabond Tours has a really good table with when to tip and when not to tip in Ireland, so I will leave a link to that in the description and you can get a better understanding of when to tip and when not to tip. But just know that tipping does exist and it's customary to do 10 to 15% of your check. And lastly, give yourself extra time at the airport on the way home if you're going back to the US. If you are flying in and out of Dublin, you will have to pre-clear US customs in the Dublin airport. I've never personally flown out of Belfast or Shannon, so I can't speak for those airports specifically, but odds are that you might be flying into Dublin even if you're going to Northern Ireland. So if you are flying back to the US from the Dublin airport, give yourself plenty of extra time, like I would say at the very least 3 hours before your flight, because you will need to pre-clear customs. This means you will have to go through Irish security and US security. You'll have to go through security twice before you get to your gate. This also means that you'll have to follow all US security regulations in terms of like 1 quart-sized bag of liquids and taking your shoes off and taking your belts off, like all of the extra rules the US has that Ireland does not. You'll have to do both. You'll have to do Irish security and US security before you get to your gate, so give yourself plenty of time to do that. Also, whenever I've pre-cleared customs in Dublin, it has been busy. I've always had to wait in a line. So just know that going into your trip, that to give yourself extra time on the way home. That concludes this video on Northern Ireland travel tips. All of these tips will make your trip a lot easier, and I'm so excited for you to experience Northern Ireland. It is, like I said, my favorite part of Ireland, especially the Causeway Coast. My whole family just loves Northern Ireland, so I'm excited for you to see it too. If you have any questions, leave a comment. I do have another video about what to wear in Ireland in summer. If you're visiting Northern Ireland in summer, definitely watch that video. I do also have a lot of Northern Ireland travel guides on my blog. I have where to go, itinerary examples on my website, so I'll leave those blog posts in the description too. Other than that, I will see you in next week's video. So for now, ciao.